Judge, we are on the record. We're calling the case of Brian KOTH, right, Brian?
Correct, KOTH.
Brian KOTH. Judge, this case is set for arraignment today.
Okay, call State of Ohio versus Brian KOTH, case number 20 TRD 00178. Mr. KOTH is present. Good afternoon. Sir, you're in charge with display of license plates. It's your initial appearance. What do you plead to that offense?
Charge is denied. Move to dismiss based on the face of the complaint. In violation of ORC 233.12, no arrest shall be made on Sundays. Objection.
Objection is noted. Overruled. Trial date. He was cited on January 26th.
January 26th?
Judge, February 24th.
February 24th.
Is that what time?
January 24th.
All right, trial date 2-5. Matter, sir. Set for January 24th.
February 24th?
February 24th, 2 p.m.
Yes, Judge.
All right, we'll be returning for those on that when we leave today.
Okay.
Judge, calling the matter of State of Ohio versus Brian KOTH. This is set for trial, Judge.
Okay, call matter State of Ohio versus Brian KOTH, 20 TRD 00114. Mr. KOTH is present at trial. State of Ohio is present representing Ms. Pura. Mr. KOTH has been charged with failure to use turn signal minor sticker that's during the mass water out of first record trial.
Yes, Your Honor.
Before we start, may I address the court?
This is what it is. What do you want to say?
Okay, yes, first I would like to ask the court for access to my mini computer.
Stop.
Yes.
This is set for trial today. There's criminal procedure that we're going to follow. Either you follow the procedure or you're being asked to leave.
Okay, is this not civil?
No, it's criminal traffic trial. Criminal rules of procedure apply.
Okay, criminal rules and procedures apply, therefore there must be a victim or damage to property, corpus delicti. Proof of jurisdiction, please. Is there a victim that can prove to the record?
The state has the burden of proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
The victim is present?
Pardon me?
Is the victim present?
The state of Ohio is going to address that.
Okay.
Ms. Pepper, you have opening remarks?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Your Honor, I believe that the trial will establish that on January 17, 2020 at approximately 19:33 p.m., defendant was observed operating a blue 2006 Ford. Officer Panning of the Oregon Police Division did observe him in the 3500 block of Navarre Avenue, which is in the city of Oregon, Lucas County, Ohio, within the jurisdiction of this court. He observed him failure to activate his turn signal 100 feet prior to making his lane change. Your Honor, this is in violation of the Ohio Revised Code section 451139, and after the testimony given today, we believe that we will prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pepper. Mr. Koth, do you have any opening remarks?
Oh, I absolutely do. Again, may I finish addressing the court before you cut me off there and allow the prosecution of the statement?
Any opening remarks regarding the evidence, what you're going to present, what the trial, what the facts are going to show?
Right. What I'm concerned about. I'm sorry?
This is a trial. Your statements need to be restricted to what the evidence is going to show today.
Yes, sir, and I tried to bring evidence into this building. I was prohibited at the door by your armed security agents.
What evidence?
And I noticed that there's a cell phone on the table by the prosecutor. I would also like to say equal access of the law and protection of the law. I would also like my mini computer present because I have evidence that is crucial to this trial, sir.
What evidence do you have that you want admitted?
What evidence do I have that I want admitted? I have audio, digital recording of the incident in question, of the nature of the officer's conduct. This case, if you want me to include it in my opening statement, even though I haven't given that yet, because I'm still trying to just get permission to bring evidence into the building, sir.
So you have that evidence with you?
It's on my cell phone, which I was not allowed to bring in the last time, but it is a mini computer. I can turn it off so it does not receive phone calls. I don't need to make phone calls, but I do need the evidence that's on that particular mini computer, such as the one that's on the table in front of the district attorney.
What is the relevance to the issue today?
It is the recording of the incident in question and your officer's perjury if I have a sworn statement, but so far I don't, because I haven't even been able to get anything with his signature on there. So I'm still trying to figure out how we can just go through all this due process illegally, because I don't have a sworn statement. That's an issue I wanted to address to the court before we start.
this-
But are you going to give me an opportunity to do so? That is my question to the court, with all due respect.
All right. Is that your opening statement?
No, sir. That's just addressing the court, asking
This-
permission to bring in my evidence. That you didn't allow me because you immediately jumped over to the prosecutor and gave her opening statement.
Right.
Before that, I mentioned to you, I would like to address the court. And I have evidence that I need to bring into this building, that your security guard, who already admitted to me this is his building, this is a private corporation, and if I may finish.
Stop.
Yes, sir.
You have evidence you want to present?
Absolutely.
You need to share it with the prosecutor.
May I go get it?
Sure.
Bailiff, is that okay?
He has a right, if he wants to present
All
evidence, he has a
right.
right.
5-minute recess for me to go get it and bring it back in? Thank you.
Yeah, Coach, real quick.
Record is paused. Judge, the record is resumed in the matter of State of Ohio versus Brian Koth.
Okay, we're back on the record. I see you have your phone,
Correct. It's, well, mini computer, if you will.
computer. Are you going to be entering that into?
The computer itself will not be entered as an exhibit. It will be playing audio to the hot mic so that the microphone can pick up the
Are you opposed to
evidence.
For,
No, I'm not, Your Honor.
because if you're entering the computer, we're going to.
See, right, I get that. No, it's not being entered as an exhibit, just the material that's
So
on
the
it.
material
the
that's on
data.
the phone will become part of the record then?
Correct.
You're okay with that?
State has no objection.
All right. Okay. Are we done with the preliminary matters?
I believe I have an opening statement.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, I am prepared to show that this case...
Stand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me, I'm layman, okay? So, I do expect a little bit of courtesy on that level. I understand I'm going to be held to an attorney of record, but I don't come into this particular private organization and practice for a profession as yourself or the district attorney or the so-called witness/victim. But I am prepared to prove beyond a shadow of doubt that my turn signal was in fact activated for the 100 feet pursuant to the LRC code. I'm also prepared to probably prove that the officer perjured himself to get this profit generated into this county. With that being said,
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Buffer, are you ready to go forward?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. First witness?
The state would call Officer Panning to the stand.
Officer. Please face me, please, raise your hand, please. You solemnly swear to tell the truth and the whole truth, that you shall affirm or answer that.
Thank you. Officer Panning, can you state your name for the record?
Dalton Panning,
And can you spell your last name, please?
P-A-N-N-I-N-G,
And Officer Panning, where are you employed?
Oregon Police Division,
And in what capacity are you employed at the Oregon Police Division?
as in my jobs and duties. I enforce traffic laws and criminal laws within the state of Ohio and within the jurisdiction of the city of Oregon.
And are you a police officer for the City of Oregon Police Division?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been a police officer with the City of Oregon?
I got hired June 11th, 2019.
And did you receive any law enforcement schooling?
I went to the police academy, yes.
And what police academy did you go to?
Owens, a police academy.
And are you a certified police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
As a patrol officer, again, can you explain to the judge some of your duties?
We answer calls of service that go through dispatch, and we get dispatched to those calls, and we're trained to find traffic violations throughout the city, and we act on those.
So is traffic enforcement part of your duties?
Yes, ma'am.
And let's talk about the incident that occurred on January 17, 2020 at approximately 7:33 p.m. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you wearing a full uniform similar to the uniform you're wearing today?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you in a marked patrol vehicle, the official marked patrol vehicle for the City of Oregon Police Division?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your shift that day?
I was working second shift, and it was 3 to 11.
So you were on duty?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have contact on January 17, 2020, approximately 7:33, with the individual later to become known to you as Brian KOTH?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the judge where he is seated and what he is wearing?
He is sitting right behind the prosecutor, wearing a blue hoodie and blue jeans.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant as the driver of the vehicle.
The record will so reflect.
So on January 17, 2020, at approximately 7:30 p.m., can you explain to the court what roadway you were on?
I was heading east or westbound on Navarre Avenue in approximately 2500 block.
And at what point did you first see the defendant's vehicle?
I saw him. I was right across from Circle K, still in the westbound lane, and I was in the turn lane getting ready to make my U-turn, and that's when the defendant passed me.
And when he passed you, what direction was he traveling?
He was heading eastbound
On what street?
on Navarre Avenue.
Okay. And when you observed him traveling eastbound on Navarre Avenue, what did you do?
Well, as he passed me, I noticed he gave me a dirty look, and I don't know, it was very like he was agitated or something, and I flipped the U-turn as that was my means before he even passed me. I got in the lane next to him, and I was beside him actually at Navarre and Isaac Street at the light, and I look over and he's still giving me a disgruntled look, and as if he was already a aggressive nature. And that's when we were both heading westbound on Navarre, and I'd say I got behind him probably around Bob Evans, or maybe a little more east of that.
And going back a little bit, you indicated that you were in the turn lane going westbound. Is that correct?
I was in the turn lane about to make my U-turn
U-turn?
to go westbound.
Okay, I apologize. Were you in that position prior to ever seeing the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
So was your intention to make the U-turn to go westbound on Navarre?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you saw the defendant's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
So at some point you are side to side
Mhm.
in two separate lanes, is that
Yep.
correct?
Navarre and Isaac.
And then are you guys just traveling westbound?
Well, at that point, we were stationary, and then we proceeded westbound.
And what was causing you to be stationary? Was there a traffic?
There was a stoplight, yep.
And then what happened after the traffic signal turned green?
We proceeded westbound. He proceeded ahead of me, and that's when I ran his plate, and he wasn't the registered owner, and that's like a sign that we see, like that leads to us getting a lot of our driving under suspensions or operating without a license.
So you ran the license plate, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point then, did you get behind that vehicle?
When it came back that he was not the RO, that is the registered owner, that is when I got behind his vehicle.
Okay. And do you recall what the make and model of that vehicle was?
It was a Ford Focus, and it was blue.
And then what happened after you got behind the vehicle?
I got behind the vehicle, followed it, I'd probably say half a mile, because from the point like when I actually got behind the vehicle, I was already halfway between Isaac and Coy, and that's no more than probably 3/4 of a mile. And we came to a stop at Navarre and Coy, and then we proceeded forward, and that's when he failed to activate his turn signal when changing lanes into that turn lane.
And when you were following behind him, you were just following in that lane of travel, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And his vehicle just happened to be in front of you, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the point that he had changed into a different lane than he was currently traveling in, did he go to the right or to the left?
He went to the left.
And do you recall approximately where that was at?
It was just west of the Buffalo Wild Wings.
And would that
entrance.
be in the 3500 block of Navarre?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell the judge what city that is located in?
Oregon.
And what county?
Lucas.
And is that in the state of Ohio?
Yes, ma'am.
Within the court's jurisdiction?
Yes, ma'am.
So you observed the defendant go to the change lanes into the left.
Yes, ma'am.
At any point, did you observe him put on his turn signal?
Yes, ma'am.
At
Did.
what point did you observe him do that?
He did not signal 100 feet continuous within 100 feet.
And is that prior to changing lanes?
Yes, ma'am.
Once he was in that lane, did he keep his turn signal on?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
But prior to him changing that lane, he didn't have his, and correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't have his turn signal on continuously.
Objection.
For 100 feet.
Prosecutor's testifying.
I'll allow her. Overruled.
Due process error. $5,000.
Go ahead.
And after you observed him in that new lane
Mhm.
in the left, what then did you observe? What happened next?
When he was in the turn lane,
Mhm.
he came to a stop, and then that's when he proceeded into the Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I activated my overhead lights.
And did you initiate a traffic stop?
Yes, I did.
And did you exit your vehicle?
Yes, I did.
Did you approach that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was the driver of the vehicle?
The defendant, Brian Koth.
And did you have a conversation with him?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell the court what that conversation was?
It was very aggressive, or like very back and forth, and he was very argumentative with myself as well as Officer Weiss.
Did you tell the defendant what you had stopped him for?
Yes, I did.
Did you ask him for his license?
Yes, I did.
Did he provide that to you?
He held it up to the window.
Did he ever hand it to you?
No, he would not let me take it.
And did you proceed accordingly with what he was providing you at that time through the window?
Yes, ma'am. He held it up to the window, and I leaned in and used my flashlight to get the numbers so I could run it through Oregon Dispatch.
And did he make any statements to you as far as when you advised him what you were stopping him for?
He basically told me I was in the wrong, and there was no emergency to damage any property. Yeah.
At any time during your conversation with him, did he make any statements as to who you were pulling over?
As in, or can you rephrase that?
At
some point, did you initiate a...
Objection, relevance to a turn signal?
Overruled.
Are all my objections going to be overruled, sir? Would you just like to slap me with the $150 fine now?
I'll hold you in contempt. Is that what you're asking? Are you asking?
I'm sorry?
Are you asking to be held in contempt?
No, I'm just asking if you're going to continually to object or overrule all my objections. I mean, there's no relevance to what I said after it's been established that I used the turn signal, correct?
Overruled.
Okay. So this case has been predetermined, just asking a question. Ms. Fair?
Go on.
At any point, did you issue a traffic citation?
Yes, ma'am.
And who did you hand that to?
Brian Koth.
Was anyone else in the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain to the court who was in the vehicle?
The defendant stated it was his grandson.
Was it a minor child?
Infant.
Okay. Did the defendant make any statements to you after you handed him the traffic citation?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he state?
After I handed him the citation and we were separating ways, he stated,
Objection, relevance to the turn signal.
You just fucked with Sovereign.
Allow him to answer.
If you could repeat that for the court, please.
The defendant stated in his words, "You just fucked with a Sovereign."
Does your, are you aware if your vehicle has a in-car camera system?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
And was it recording that day?
The entire time of the traffic incident.
And are you aware on that date, did you have a body cam that is affixed to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that operating on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm showing you what I'm going to ask the court to be marked as Exhibit A. Is this a true and accurate depiction of both your in-car video and your body cam of the incident involving the defendant that occurred on January 17, 2020 at about 19:33 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I ask that this be published for the court.
Good. Mark it as.
Should this be Exhibit A?
Your Honor, I did advise the defendant that I would be introducing that.
Do we get to view it?
All right.
Do we get to view what's being entered? Okay.
You're gonna see it.
Judge, for the record, the court has established states Exhibit A.
Thank you, because I want to stop it. Yes, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure it's not.
Yeah.
There probably won't be any volume for about 5 miles. Unless the microphone gets activated, like when the lights come on or something. Now, when the turn signal comes on here, I would just like to count on 1,000.
Yeah.
You'll have a chance. You'll have a chance.
Yeah.
to testify.
Certainly. Yeah, that definitely looks more than 100 feet. I move to dismiss immediately, based off the claims, the claim's frivolous, there's no claim.
You'll have a chance, sir.
Okay. Very unsafe maneuver. Again, I move the court to dismiss. Failed to state a claim which could be relief could be granted. The prosecution's own evidence shows that I used my turn signal.
Sir, I'm gonna hold you in contempt, but you'll have an
Oh,
opportunity.
okay, I do apologize.
Officer, I'm going to rewind this.
Okay.
Is that the defendant's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the defendant's vehicle that's about to get in the left lane as you have previously testified?
Yes, ma'am. He just made his first, he activated his turn signal right there.
And was that 100 feet prior to entering into this lane?
No, ma'am, it was not.
Approximately how many feet, if you had to guess? Or if you had to,
Objection, you can't guess, you have to be to the T on that.
Let the officer testify.
if you had to estimate?
Objection, you cannot estimate, you have to be to the T, you're trying to collect $150 from me for a fee. What is the exact number of feet that I moved?
Let the officer testify. Objection overruled. Let the officer testify.
If you had to estimate how many feet he had traveled before turning on his signal and entering in the left lane, what would be that estimation?
35 feet.
And that's less than 100 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm going to show you. You can get out of this. Sorry.
No problem.
I need to get out of this one.
Let me go to the computer.
Okay. I need the same disc, but I just need the other video.
Different track, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
We may have to recess if I don't have sound.
It'll come on. It's a minute after.
I think at this point, I would object to any further evidence of the body cam because I'm not here for anything less than a turn signal, and we all just witnessed the turn signal being activated.
Mr. Pereira, what would be the relevance of going, are you going to show the testimony,
It would,
the statements afterwards?
It would
Is he
be-
admitting, is there some relevance?
it would just be the interaction between the defendant and it's part of the scene.
I don't know that I need to see that.
Okay.
Your objection is sustained.
Thank you.
No further questions?
Unless there's something of relevance there, the turn signal card.
No, it's just part of the scene.
Oh,
Okay, hang on.
my turn. Right?
Okay, here's what's happening.
Yes, sir.
The state has presented, they had a witness that's testified. It's your opportunity now to cross-examine.
Correct.
You can ask him questions.
Yes. Are you going to govern those questions, or am I free rein to argue because this is a place where I'm allowed to argue? I'm sorry?
You're not to argue. You'll have a chance later on to argue.
I will.
You're just strictly going to ask questions like this.
Sure. Yes, I have no problem with that, sir.
Stand at the
Okay,
podium and
great.
ask the officer questions.
All right, and I get to use the video?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Not out, please.
How you doing today? Mr. Panning?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm doing good.
Great. All right. Let's see here. Capacity. Were you acting in official capacity or your private capacity?
Official.
Official. When acting in your official capacity, are you immune to civil rights violations?
Objection, Your
I
Honor.
don't see relevance.
I'm sorry?
Objection sustained.
So that means I can't ask that question any further?
I don't understand relevance.
You don't understand relevance?
No.
Well, it has to do with me building my
The
defense.
issue here is, did you use your turn signal? Did you violate the law? So if you restrict your questions to
Did I violate law or code?
yes.
Because I'm trying to understand the
Higher revised
both,
code.
which is,
Did you violate the higher revised code?
thank you, sir. Yes, because I understand there's a difference between law and code, correct? Law is law, Constitution, Article 6. I
Code is the-
comprehend we are under Article 6, Constitution of Ohio,
Code is the law.
correct? So I just wanted to make sure. That's where I'm going with asking, because I don't know what nature he's in. I don't know if he's a fake state agent who is immune from liability of lawsuits, because I've been damaged and I have a right to counterclaim.
He's a law enforcement officer.
Okay, is he immune to lawsuit when violating civil rights, such as what took place here?
I don't understand where you're going with this. It's-
Okay, but I'm just trying to preserve the record
I'm
and,
not allowing it because I don't understand.
so you're obstructing justice?
Am I obstructing it?
By not allowing me to defend myself, ask this defendant, I got a right to face my accuser, I should have a right to ask him any questions,
You're face to face with him right
correct?
now.
Right, I'm face to face with him right now, and I'm trying to get a complete,
Ask him relevant questions.
they are relevant.
Ask him.
Okay, going forward, again, I asked the question.
It's not relevant.
Okay,
Go on.
can I ask why it's not relevant?
I answered it because it's not relevant to the red light or the turn signal violation.
I disagree and object.
So it's
No due process violation, $5,000. So, second question. June 11th, 2019, is that when you said you started employment?
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
you are employed, you are not an elected official? You're employed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who are you employed by?
Oregon Police Division.
Oregon Police Division. Okay. June 11th, 2019. How many failure to turn signal have you issued since your date of hire as an employee?
You're my first one.
I'm your first one. Okay. Now, you mentioned the dirty look. When exactly did you say you observed the dirty look? Can you retrace that step for me again? Where were you
Yes, sir.
at?
As I was in the east, I was heading westbound. I was in the turn lane right in front of Circle K, and already in that turn lane before you passed me, and then when you did pass me, I noticed you looked at me as you were driving by, and that's what caught my eye, and then that's when I followed you. I did not get behind you until well after Bob Evans on Navarre Avenue.
So, immediately in front of Circle K, coming off of 280, is that the right geographical area?
Yes, sir, it is.
Right. You're heading westbound?
When I flipped on you, I was heading eastbound, yeah.
When you say flipped on me, what do you mean by flipped on me?
I did a U-turn.
You did a U-turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you planning on doing a U-turn prior to seeing me?
Yes, I was.
Yes, you were. Okay. And then you noticed a dirty look.
Yes, I did.
What kind of dirty look? What's a dirty look?
Squinted eyebrows.
Squinting eyebrows? Can I ask what time of day or night this was?
Approximately 1930 hours.
1930. Was it dark?
Yes, sir, it was.
You wear glasses?
No, I do not.
What's your vision?
20/20.
About how many feet approximately do you think you were between your point of U-turn
Objection.
and observation of a dirty look?
Go ahead.
Between me and
How
you,
many feet?
probably say 15.
15 feet at night, and you could spot somebody crunching their eyebrows?
It's a well-lit area.
It's a well-lit area?
Yes, it is.
Did you call for backup?
No,
Why
I did
not? It was a dirty look, right? And according to you, let me ask this next question here, because you also mentioned the word agitated. You were able to sense agitation from your vehicle towards me?
Dirty look,
I
yeah.
conveyed that to you
With the dirty look.
with the
I didn't-
dirty look.
I didn't call for backup because I didn't make
You
the
didn't call
traffic-
for backup, but you observed agitation.
Yes, I did. I didn't make the traffic stop yet. There was no traffic violation yet.
No traffic violation yet. Ran plate for probable cause. Is that, or what did you say, you then ran my plate once you
I did
got
not-
behind me?
I did not run the plate for a probable cause.
You did not run the plate. What did you run the plate for? Over the dirty look?
I ran the plate.
Is that standard?
Let me answer.
Sorry. What did you run the plate for?
To see if there was any, further see if you were the RO,
To see if I was the RO? Could you please be more detailed what RO is?
registered owner.
Registered owner. What did the registered owner come back as?
I do not remember the name, but it was a female.
Female.
Yes, sir, it was.
Did I match the description of that female?
No, you did not.
But you still felt the need to follow me?
I was not following you at that point.
So I gave you a dirty look that you claimed was agitated prior to you running the plates, but then you discovered that I am not the female owner of the vehicle, nor do I match the description, but you still continue to follow me.
I did not follow you.
You did not follow me.
I was in the right lane at that
You
point.
were in the right lane. Gotcha. Is there a reason why you were stopped next to me and not up at the white line
Because
with no
there-
cars in front of you?
There was a vehicle in front of me.
There was a vehicle. You're under oath, sir. Are you sure you want to testify that as perjury?
He answered the question.
I'm asking him another question. I just reminded him he's under oath. I didn't hear him answer the question a second time. Are you sure, 100% certain there was a vehicle in front of you?
Objection. Asked and answered.
He's answered the question. You're getting to the point where you're badgering.
Okay, sorry. Don't mean to badger the witness. Absolutely not. We don't want that. But I would like to redress that, follow back up with that statement. I do have evidence that shows perjury. In fact, I think I would almost have to move the court, if I may. Can I finish?
Hang on.
Yep.
I'll remind the officer you're testifying under oath. You understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, can I take a pause just for a moment from my questioning, because I believe right now at this point, with him testifying there was a vehicle in front of him, I can now demonstrate perjury. I'm not going to admit my personal evidence if I have to ask
You're
for,
not presenting any evidence at this point.
I'm sorry?
You're not presenting any evidence at this point, if that's what you're asking. This is the prosecution's phase. You're asking questions.
Oh.
You'll have an opportunity to present evidence. This is not...
Fair enough, okay. I would just like to highlight this particular point right now where he mentioned that there was another vehicle in front of him, because at this point, this makes this officer perjuring himself on the stand, and he should be impeached as a witness, Your Honor.
You're testifying at this point. I told you, this is strictly your phase of the trial where you're to ask questions. I don't want to take any testimony from you.
Okay, I respect that, okay? My point is, I just basically caught the witness perjuring himself, which by all rights, according to due process, we all know by rule of law.
Any more questions?
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot of questions.
Go on.
Okay, all right. So, let me see. You followed for about a mile.
From Circle K on Navarre, I mean, even at that point, I wasn't even following you. I'd probably say Matthews Ford, Bob Evans area till Buffalo Wild Wings, to where I initiated the traffic stop, roughly a mile.
How many miles do you say is between Circle K and Buffalo Wild Wings? Approximately.
1.5.
1.5? Are you sure?
Objection.
Please answer.
Okay. So, let me get this right. You observed a dirty look. You claimed it was an agitated dirty look, but you had no reason to be following me for over 1.5 miles after the dirty look. Okay. Let's see. Do you have a tape measure on you?
No, I do not.
How are you trained to determine how many feet a vehicle is moving?
Well, each dash is roughly 30 feet apart from another.
30 feet.
30, 35 feet. Yes, sir.
Is that different than what you told the defendant when you pulled him over?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How'd that change from 30? Let me re-question that. What did you tell the defendant?
I said 20 feet.
20 feet. But now it's 30? How did that change?
It was an estimate.
It was an estimate. Just taking a guess.
No, not a guess.
What's an estimate? Is that fact?
No, it's not.
What is your question?
My question is an estimate a fact or is it a guess?
Is it an estimate?
It's an estimate.
So it's a guess.
He's answered. He said it's an estimate.
Okay, so can you better define what estimate? To me, an estimate is a guess. So I need to know from you, who is law enforcement, is an estimate?
I don't understand. He's answered the question.
Okay,
What's the difference?
how can I get this question out so that everybody understands layman terms? An estimate is a roundabout number or idea. Fact is you pull out a tape measure and you measure the distance traveled per se.
I did not measure dash to dash.
Okay. You did not measure dash to dash.
The court gets it. It was an estimate. Go on.
Okay. How many years in law school do you have?
In law school?
Yes, sir.
0.
0. How can you be law enforcement if you are not educated in law?
I went through the police
I don't understand
academy.
the relevance of this line of questioning.
Well,
He's required to be a law student.
I'm sorry?
He's not a law student. There's no requirement to be a law student to be a law enforcement officer.
There may not be a requirement, but I'm just kind of curious how you can give somebody a gun and tell them to practice law when they don't even know what law is.
I want to stay on point.
I'm sorry?
Stay on point.
Well, it is point to my defense. It may not make sense to you, I understand.
Well, I'm the one to make sure it makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense to me, then I'm the one that's hearing the evidence.
Right, gotcha. Can I ask the judge a question?
No.
Okay. Can I ask the court a question?
No.
Okay. Driving. When you noticed the dirty look, did you notice anything else in the car?
No, I did not.
No, you did not. When you were in the right-hand lane, eastbound at the stoplight, and you looked in my direction, did you notice anything in the car?
No, I did not.
You did not see the child in the back seat?
No, I did not.
No, you did not. So, let me get this right. From 15 feet, you can observe a dirty look while in motion, but from 3 feet, parked next to, you cannot observe on 2 separate occasions a child in the back seat.
I was right next to you. I wasn't next to your back seat. I was next to you.
And then got behind me.
And it was a brief look to you.
So I'm just curious how your vision went from, you can see so well a dirty look and agitation.
Question, he did not see the child.
Is there an ORC code that requires the surrendering of a driver's license upon demand?
Objection, relevance?
She brought it up and opened the door. She questioned him about what I did with the driver's license.
Relevance, I don't-
It's a flat-out question. Is there an Ohio Revised Code?
To this turn signal violation.
I'm sorry?
What is the relevance to the turn signal violation?
Well, when I objected, it was overruled, and she got to continue talking about my demeanor when she asked about the driver's license and whether or not I gave it up or displayed it. She opened the door. Now I can't follow it up.
You displayed it.
I understand I displayed it. What I'm asking you is there an Ohio Revised Code that requires me to personally give it to you upon your demand?
You do not have to give it to me.
Do I only have to display it for you to read?
It's not a relevant issue here, because it's not.
Well, I'm just kind of, again, Your Honor, you objected.
I understand, but we're getting.
You understand? Yeah, she brought it up,
I understand.
right?
I understand.
I mean, do we need to review the record?
Well, I'm going to be considering evidence at the end here, and that's
Sure.
something that I'll.
Kind of irrelevant evidence, right? Because we're
I'm trying to
talking.
sort this out, I'm trying to get rid of stuff that I don't need to hear.
Sure,
And that's
makes
something
sense,
we do.
makes sense. I like that. Okay, great. Sorry, no problem. All right, let's see here. So, any other questions? Did you have any other officers show up with you on site?
Yes, sir, I did.
At what point did you realize or did you feel you needed to have another officer on site?
The point where you were beginning to get argumentative. And as I called out for an additional, he was already en route.
Again, I don't need to get into all of that.
Don't need to get all that, because we kind of struck that. This is just the turn signal thing here, right,
I just
okay.
want to focus on.
On the turn signal? Okay, can we see the video, please?
What video you want?
Dash cam, or, yeah, the dash cam that shows right about the spot where the turn signal.
first one?
No, actually, no. Let's back it up
I'll start from the beginning.
from the beginning so I can see where, because hopefully he's got me where I can give him dirty looks. So can I ask why there's a reason?
Hold on, let me cue it up.
Just pause it right there for a moment.
Hold on, you have control of the mouse, you know the working mouse?
Yes, I do.
All right, then it's yours.
All right, well, great, thank you, okay.
Is this at Coy?
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
Okay.
So according to your testimony with dirty looks at Circle K, can I ask where it is on this dash video?
It will not show that far back
Why is that?
because our dash cams only go back 1 minute prior to us activating our overhead lights.
Is there a reason why you did not want to activate your camera?
Objection.
When
Again, we're getting into issues that really, the issue before me, I know you.
I mean, we're talking about a dirty look here. That came in out of nowhere, right? That has nothing to do. I'm trying to entertain that idea because I don't appreciate being slandered and I believe he's perjuring
You
himself.
looked at him, the way he looked at you has not going to have any bearing on me, trust me, in the decision I make. It has no bearing, it's a waste of time to go into that.
Well, Your Honor, you can simply say dismissed.
I just want to see the turning violation.
Yeah, okay, right. You understand the turn signal violation. I agree with you, 100%.
Well, you keep, all right.
You're right, I shouldn't even be here. This officer
I'm
lied.
saying I want to see the evidence, that's.
Okay, let's try to get to that evidence then, Your Honor. I apologize, sir. I don't mean to take up too much of your time. I guess mine is irrelevant, my time. So we'll play the video here. Right, it's playing? Yep, okay, good. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Great. Your Honor, let's see, I have a piece of paper here. Can I give this to the defendant? It's math.
Well, show the prosecutor.
Your Honor, he is the defendant.
Oh, sorry, the witness. I am, sorry. Okay, just some math. I'm going to give this to the officer on the stand.
Can I see it?
Yes, sir. Put it for sure. Just some basic math.
Your Honor, I'm not sure what the relevance is, if this is part of his case, or if there's a,
Well, we're trying to determine whether or not I went 100 feet, correct?
Okay, nope, that's the issue.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Can you describe what you see there, sir?
I'm not a math.
As best you can, just what you see written out before you.
If I could read it. A lot of numbers. I don't think it pertains to
He doesn't
that.
understand.
From
You doesn't understand, so can I?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Well,
Quite frankly,
let me read off what I
I'm
wrote.
not sure either.
Okay, let me go with this here if I can, get behind the desk, sorry. All right, so what I showed the prosecution,
Well, again, this is, you can, if you're presenting evidence, this is not the time to present evidence, if that's what you're trying, you want to, you're here to ask him questions.
right, and I think he just said he was no good at math, I was trying
With
to,
that document, he doesn't understand it.
right, okay, so, okay, I guess that's not really relevant, even though according, I guess that would be on my testimony then, right? Basically, that's what you're telling me. All right, so let me see here. And from here to here, you say is 30 feet.
What's that?
From this point, right,
Yep.
to this point, is your claim is 30 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you know this how?
General rule of thumb, I used to work construction.
General rule of thumb, you used to work in construction.
Yes, sir, I did.
Did they teach that to you in the police academy?
In the academy, no. Construction,
Construction. Construction is not law enforcement, correct?
objection.
no, it's not.
Sustained.
Just trying to show the base of where he gets his education from. He's using construction knowledge for law enforcement. Again, I would move the court to dismiss based
Denied.
off the evidence.
Denied. Do you have any more questions?
Let's see, do I have any more questions? Was there any reckless behavior or threat to public safety?
Objection.
Allegation you're getting outside of the bounds of the trial.
I don't know if I am, Your Honor, according to ORC
Are
4511.39.
you alleging there's reckless behavior on behalf of the defendant in this matter?
No,
Is it an element of your case?
no.
All right.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
I have a question. So, the allegation is the turn, when he put the signal on, the distance traveled, I assume that's what the case is, the question?
Yes, sir. Before he made his lane change into the turn lane.
Right.
It was dash to dash.
Can you back it up? So it's not when he turned off of the bar, it's when he made that lane change.
From the through lane into the,
Okay. Your allegation is that he didn't travel the requisite 100 feet.
Which is not mandatory.
Hang on, these are my questions.
Yes. That's okay. You can ask them.
All right, so he's got on there, and then
3 blinks before I move, Your Honor. 1 1,000, 2
well, I
1,000.
just want to make sure we identify what the issue, that's, because we're going off all these tangents here. Really, the only issue is whether or not he had justified issuing that ticket.
Yeah.
The requirement is that you,
And it's not required, because it says, when, the Ohio Revised Code reads when required. So when am I
any
required?
other questions on Mr. Colt's questioning or my questioning?
Just very briefly. Did the defendant utilize his turn signal continuously for 100 feet prior to entering into another lane?
no, we did not.
And the Ohio Department of Transportation,
Okay.
January 2019.
I would object to that being entered, because it is not law. It is not a
Well, it's not
code.
being entered.
I'm sorry?
It's not being entered.
Okay.
Have you ever reviewed the State of Ohio Department of Transportation?
Objection. It's not being entered. Why are we talking about it?
She's asking, it's not being entered into evidence. She's asking questions. It's her witness.
Gotcha.
She can ask, just like you were asking questions.
Right, I just don't see the relevance of it.
But let her ask it, I'll determine.
Okay.
Have you ever reviewed the State of Ohio Department of Transportation manual?
No, I have not.
You have not at all with the specifications as far as dash lines?
I've never personally read it. No, I have not.
Has it ever been presented to you to review?
Yes, it has.
And have you reviewed that prior to this case today?
Prior to this, no, I have not.
When did you review it?
When I was doing construction.
And is that how you determined what the dash lines were?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how long were you in construction?
3 years.
I would move to strike that from the record. It was denied for me to even talk about it. Why is she talking about it? Okay.
No further questions.
So it's your testimony, officer, that he did not have his blinker, left turn signal on continuously for 100 feet before he entered that turning lane?
Yes, sir. Dash to dash was not 100 feet.
May I ask one more question?
Yep, it's your turn. On this line of questioning, just restrict.
Yes, it's strictly on the 100 feet.
Yep. Yep.
What Ohio Revised Code states that it is mandatory to use the signal within 100 feet before maneuvering the automobile.
I believe it's ORC 4511-39.
4511-39. And I noticed you had that on your table tonight.
He answered your question. Don't ask her questions.
Oh, okay. Well, can we bring up 4511.39?
You're asking the question. He answered your question.
Okay. And it says it's mandatory.
When moving your vehicle
It says it's mandatory.
left or right or making a lane change
It says it's mandatory. Is that correct?
is required.
It is required. Is it mandatory?
Objection. He answered
He
the
answered.
question.
He answered.
Well, there's a difference between mandatory and required, isn't there?
He answered that it's required. That's the answer.
I didn't ask if it was required. I asked if it was mandatory.
He said it's required. He didn't say it was mandatory.
Well, I didn't ask if it was required. Yeah, where are we going to go with this? I said, is it mandatory? I haven't heard anybody say, no, it's not.
I'll be looking it up.
Okay? You'll be looking it up.
Yes.
Can we look it up right now? I mean, she's got it right there on her desk.
We're taking facts, we're arguing the law right now.
It's a fact, isn't it?
Well, it will be, yes. When I take it under advisement, when I look it up, sure.
Okay, can we just look at it? It's right there on the desk. Right? I just want to know, is it mandatory? I mean,
Your Honor, I believe,
or am I violating like some kind of plaintiff?
Let Ms. McClure.
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't think we're in the confines of what we're supposed to be doing right now. I believe that he can ask questions as far as what questions I was asked, he can rebut that, and then if he wants to present testimony
Right,
for you to
right.
hear,
Gotcha.
I think that's the next step. But I think as far as
Right,
he's
the only-
getting
okay.
off track as far as trying to ask
language.
you to do things, because
Right.
that's not really our
Right.
position to be asking.
Gotcha.
The
Okay,
only point I'm trying, I'm going to decide the case, and I will be looking at the law.
sure.
That's what I'm telling you.
Right, gotcha.
Leave it at that.
Okay, all right. So far, though, we do see that there is well, it was strictly to your question, and so, of the ORC. All right, I don't have any questions on that, thank you.
Okay, Ms. McClure?
No further questions of state rests.
Okay. Do you want to move to admit the video?
Yes.
Any objection?
Oh, I have no objection to admitting the video, no, sir.
Okay. All right, this video will be admitted, I'll be taking that, considering it as part of the evidence. Okay.
Officer? Would you excuse him?
Yeah, officer can be excused.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the state has presented, you've rested that, and there are no other witnesses. The state has presented its case. Mr. Koth, it's your turn now. You have an opportunity to present evidence.
Great.
You can testify if you want.
Okay.
Testify, we're going to swear you in, you're going to have a seat there. I will advise you, you will be subject to cross-examination if you testify.
Okay.
So we'll have, and you're under oath to testify truthfully.
Okay. I can also call witnesses,
You
great.
can call witnesses, if you want to call witnesses, yes.
All right, I would call
And if
the
you want to
officers.
present, You said if you have evidence you want to present, now's the time to do it. Because it's your case, how do you want to proceed?
Yes, I have a witness. I would like to, well, I have the victim, I guess, or the witness, one of the two. I'd like to call him back up to the stand. I would also and I don't, would it be proper to ask for a recess until maybe I come back on the 24th so that I could actually get the data off of my computer to deliver on file? Would that be appropriate to ask for a recess on this trial matter? Because I certainly don't want to give you my computer, but it is absolutely relevant to...
To the turn signal.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, and to his testimony.
I mean, turn signal, evidence is pretty clear, the turn signal. I mean, what, you got some other evidence there that'll, I guess I just,
I don't know, I
seen
mean,
this.
the whole witness thing should
I
have
don't
been
want to get into
impeached.
what's happening after the stop and.
It's what happened before the stop, and it's kind of based off his testimony. I mean, the guy's just kind of, saying whatever he can so that he gets $150. I mean, he perjured himself on the stand.
Earl wants to say something.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would object to any continuance. The defendant had this court date set. If he wanted to proceed in this manner, which he pled not guilty.
No, I did
would
not make a
proceed-
plea. I object to that statement. I did not make a plea. You did, on my behalf, which I objected to.
But, listen.
Hey, I got to point out
I'm real
here.
patient with you so far.
You have. You've been great.
And I put it at the line.
Okay.
I really am.
Okay.
I'm gonna have an officer take you away in a second.
For what?
Contempt.
On what level, if I can ask?
Do you wanna argue?
No,
Just be quiet. All I'm asking you to be quiet.
I'll just be quiet and continue the proceedings, Your Honor, sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would object to any continuance. The state is here today, it's prepared. This matter was set for trial. The defendant had an opportunity to prepare his defense. I did view his phone or his mini computer, that device, and from what I observed, it was a recording of inside his vehicle.
All right. Well, let's hear it. I guess let me determine if it's something that I think is gonna be of value to me, deciding the case, then I'll, in other words, I'm not deciding yet. Let's see what's on your computer. And then if I think it's something that's gonna help me decide the case, then I'll give you an opportunity to transcribe it or do what have you.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Your Honor, I don't even have an objection to you watching it while it's played upon
Okay.
your bailiff giving that to you, if that would
Okay.
help.
But the problem is he wants to admit it into evidence, I think, and that's gonna be.
Right, you just want to review it to see if it's material,
I'll
credible,
review it,
right?
but,
I'll get it back,
But you're saying you want to admit it into evidence?
not the phone,
You have-
the data,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Not the
Well,
computer.
let's take it one step at a time. Let's see what you have first. I'll see if it's any relevance. If it's relevant, then I may decide
Right.
to
I mean,
do that.
just respectfully, give me a second here to pull it back up. It was in here.
All right, so the case is with you. It's your case. Is that what you're going to do, present some evidence?
Yeah, well, I was going to present some evidence
All right, on the video?
on the video
All right.
without surrendering my computer.
No, you're only going to surrender if you mark it as an exhibit. But I still will consider it if it's, if you're not opposed to reviewing it. Okay.
I'm just going to try to, because it's basically the same as what's right there,
All right.
except what was,
How can we view it? It's going to be behind.
I'm going to just find the particular thing that I'm trying to get transcribed here.
All right. Have you seen it, Mrs. Bird?
Yes.
Look at it together. How do you?
Oh, sorry.
I reviewed it.
Do you feel comfortable? Have you looked at it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to pause it as soon as it gets to this particular, and I'll...
I think this guy's getting ready to stop.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm asking that I be allowed to submit this at some point as evidence is because it shows the witness perjured himself on the stand, and I know you'd said
Again,
that,
that's not what the issue is today.
well, if you're taking testimony from him,
I mean, I'm weighing his
and
testimony.
he's perjured, bailiff,
You're right, I'm weighing his testimony.
right? I mean, so if you're weighing his testimony, but he perjured himself, how can you weigh perjured testimony? Bailiff?
No, I'm weighing,
I can
I'm weighing the
approach.
truthfulness just like I'm weighing your testimony.
I'm okay to approach?
Yep.
Okay. This is the exact contradiction of testimony that you just witnessed.
All right, so-
There's no vehicle in front of him, as he claimed there was, as he was parked right next to me.
All right, so what am I looking at?
That's his patrol car, and there's no vehicle in front of him, as you just witnessed him perjure at these proceedings. So I would move to impeach the witness and dismiss the case.
Single car right behind. Patrol car number 121.
This is at the U-turn Circle K, sir, where he claims I gave him
Okay, so
up.
you're going way back when he turned on.
Well, they opened it up as testimony, a dirty look and agitation and all this other stuff, and ran my place.
It's not showing.
Then it just goes for a drive. I go for a drive.
Yeah, here we go. He's gonna light you up.
See, that's when he got behind me.
So he's behind you. He pulled
This is
up his lane.
basically Circle K Walgreens, so,
All right.
I mean, I intend to follow up with
That's
you,
a
Your
mile and a
Honor.
half down the road, okay.
Again, I move this court to dismiss.
All right, do you want to comment on his video? Question him about it. You've seen the video.
I've seen this.
And you did.
Video of the vehicle a mile and a half away where the officers.
He's interacting with me clearly. He admitted on the stand that he was stalking me for dirty looks while I've got my grandson in the car. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, next piece of evidence.
Okay. So, do we get to pause for recess, or we just go with that and,
Why do we need to pause?
well, because then I guess I can enter it officially, but, because again, I move the court to impeach the witness based off the perjury testimony that you just witnessed and dismiss the case. Because you just witnessed perjury. If I have to dig out the transcripts and this video, I will do so. But again,
Well, I'm not making a finding that he perjured himself.
I'm not asking you to make a finding, I'm asking you to impeach the witness based off inaccurate testimony. He said there was somebody in front of him, clearly you
It's
see there
not
was nobody in front of him.
It's not my role to impeach the witness, that's your role.
And I just asked the court to impeach the witness, dismiss the case,
Yeah, you're
with all due respect.
when you're taking testimony, you have an opportunity to impeach the witness, and you cross-examine him. I'm taking what your testimony.
I did make an issue about perjury, and you said when it was my turn to present evidence, I could do so. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you just presented evidence.
Perjury,
Now,
so...
Go on. What else do you have to present?
Okay, what else do I have to present?
You want to testify?
Do I want to testify? Who's gonna ask me the questions? I'd have to do it both on my...
You would take a seat here and...
Ask myself
testify.
questions?
You would just testify. Tell us what happened.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I can do that.
You cross-examined afterwards.
I'm not worried about that, I didn't break the law.
Okay, swear me in.
Here, please. Please, can you raise your right hand, please? Some sort of tell the truth, the whole truth, as you shall affirm or answer to God.
Absolutely.
Seat, please.
Okay.
Okay.
You're on, has been sworn, okay,
Yes.
so you can testify.
Okay.
Tell us what happened in your own words.
So, in my own words, what I witnessed happen was, I was traveling, not driving, and I understand that legally, in the legal world, there is a difference between traveling and driving. Driving is an occupational privilege afforded by the lovely Ohio Supreme Court. Traveling is a God-given, unintangible right.
Let's keep it to the issue of the turn signal.
Getting there. So as I was traveling in the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, pursuant to the Ohio Constitution and federal Constitution, I observed an officer in patrol car 122 make a sharp U-turn at the Circle K. Immediately, I felt an uncomfortable, numbing feeling in, aura, if you will. And I felt the need to turn my camera on. And to my suspicion of being stalked by Oregon City Police for profit, because I understand that's what they do, that's how you guys have to
Objection.
Let's keep it to the issue, sir. Just the facts.
just testify.
The facts. Tell us what happened.
So, turning on my camera, I then observe the employee, state, city employee, whichever one he is, I'm not sure which acting agent he is, Oregon employee. I observed him holding back a car length from the stoplight, and I noted in my recording that I was being stalked by an officer of City of Oregon. Traveled approximately, and I had my grandson with me. I was on my way to go pick my wife up from work.
Understood.
Now, and that's traveling, I wasn't hired. There was no contractor driving, there was no evidence of me being compensated for being out on the road. I'm not a pizza driver, I'm not a bus driver, I'm not a truck driver.
Please, move with the facts.
Okay. I had my grandson with me, so I was definitely exercising extreme caution and safety for all. Of course, that's how I am anyways. I live by an honor code of do no harm, above God. All right, well, not me above God, but under God. I said that wrong, okay? That's how I live, okay? Do no harm. So, and I enjoy my prosperity, which is why I have my grandson with me. So, I'm traveling down the road, and I believe it's more about 5 miles than it is 1.5 miles from Circle K to Buffalo, or Wild Wings, or whatever it is.
Doesn't matter what happened at
Yes.
major turns.
And I did activate my turn signal because I knew full well he was behind me. I'd been recording him for the last 5 minutes, him stalking me and following me.
Okay.
So I definitely knew I had my turn signal on, and of course, well, he waited for the last moment to turn on the lights and pull me over and make an arrest at that point.
Is it your testimony that you had the light on, the turn signal 100 feet before you changed lanes?
Well, in my opinion, I added on for 100 feet because of the math, and if I may, can I get my piece of paper that I
I
had?
just asked you a question.
In my opinion, I traveled 100 feet.
Okay.
May I get the piece of paper that I had?
That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
In your opinion, you traveled 100 feet?
Yes, sir, according to the math,
Okay.
at, if I could testify on that?
Yeah.
Okay. The geometry of it is, at 40 miles an hour, which I was traveling, the video will show that I was traveling 40 miles an hour, there is 5,280 feet in a mile. At 40 miles an hour, you come up with, I believe, 220, I got it written down over there, 211,220 feet per hour. If you break it down to the how many feet per minute, it comes up to 3,500 feet per minute. If you break it down to the second, 60 seconds in a minute, it comes down to 58 feet in 1 second, traveling at a rate of speed of 40 miles an hour. Geometry alone in that video declares,
I assume you're not thinking of all this in your head, these geometrical equations while you're driving.
oh, I'm a contractor by trade. I absolutely know my geometry, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor, 100%.
Okay.
Hence the mathematical equation. Math is really good for me. I got to read tape measure every day.
Okay. All right.
So, with that being said, 58 feet is the amount of distance traveled in 1 second. 1 second. And there's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. With that turn signal activated before I maneuvered into a turning lane, to where at that point I came to a complete stop. And pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 4531.11, is that what they said?
4511.39.
Right. It says, as long as I can make a safe maneuver, right there at the very beginning, there is no distance required. And then when you get down to the second paragraph, it says, when required to do so. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't see any signs that tell me I'm in a must use your turn signal 100 feet before you get into the turn lane. Okay? That's why I was asking about, is it mandatory? Because that language should be telling me mandatory, not when required
But you're
to.
changing lanes.
What's
You're
that?
changing lanes.
If you're changing lanes, doesn't really say if you're changing lanes, because it just says when required. That's pretty open, it's pretty ambiguous, it's vague, it's open to interpretation by anybody. Moral of the story is, I did not create any damage to anybody's property. I did not demonstrate any unsafe driving in my private capacity. My license plate was red. That's illegal search and seizure of private person. So I just want to testify, I was traveling in my private capacity, and my conduct did nothing to warrant that type of invasion. And this is a complete waste of my time, it's a complete waste of your time, and taxpayers' dollars.
All right, Ms. McClure, do you want to cross-examine?
Just very few questions. So you testified, at this point, you're going 40 miles an hour? Is that correct?
Well, can you see it moving? Because it looks to me right now like I'm stopped. Yes, I would say I'm at 40 miles an hour right there, because I've been in 40 mile an hour zone. I have it on my phone that shows my speedometer.
And
Brake light might be slowing down to 38, 35.
So your geometry should then change, is that correct? Because now you're slowing down, you're no longer going in 40 miles an hour, correct?
Yeah, a second or
No
two,
further
it could
questions?
change.
All right, any further witnesses?
I don't think I have any witnesses.
All right, you can step down then. All right, do you rest?
Do I rest? I call it the stand, prosecutor.
She's not a party.
She representing,
She's not a party.
not party.
Not a party. You rest.
I call it to the stand, the victim.
He's already testified. There's no victim. You didn't talk.
Ah, thank you, that's all I need to hear, there's no
You had your
victim.
chance to question.
I just want to make sure there was no victim. And you said, thank you.
All right. All right, you have no further witness, no further testimony then?
Gosh.
I'm
No,
going to move to...
what comes next, closing statement?
Closing arguments, yes. All right, Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will make this very brief. Now, I believe that testimony today has established that the defendant was operating a motor vehicle on Navarre 3500 block in the city of Oregon, Lucas County, Ohio, within the jurisdiction of this court. Officer Panning did testify, and we're going to keep this exactly to what this is about. Did the defendant utilize his turn signal pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code section 4511.39 continuously 100 feet before changing lanes? The video is clear, and Officer Panning's testimony was very clear that he entered into another lane without utilizing it for 100 feet prior to entering that lane. The defendant argues about when required. If we look at Section A of the code, it talks about, there's two different things going on. There's the exercise due care. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the nor part of it. Nor without giving an appropriate signal in a manner herein provided. Well, what's that manner provided? It states it in the next paragraph. It states that when required, as stated in the manner herein provided, of intention to turn or move, which the defendant was moving, as testified by both him and the officer, left, which he got into the left-hand lane, shall be given continuously during not less than the last 100 feet traveled by the vehicle before moving into that lane. The defendant did not. It's clear from the video. And even his own testimony, he was slowing down. If you look at the dash marks as testified by Officer Panning, that's 30 feet between, approximately 30 feet between dash line to dash line. He has a construction background. That's how he has his knowledge. He's a trained law enforcement officer. It's clear from the video, it was not utilized 100 feet prior to entering into that lane. This is not about U-turns, this is not about looks, this is not about stalking, it is about the turn signal and whether it was utilized continuously. I believe that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did not utilize it continuously for 100 feet prior to entering into that left lane. The state would ask that you find the defendant guilty of such charge.
All right, Mr. Coe. Keep your remarks confined to that turn, okay?
Well, wait a minute, I heard her mention stuff.
No, she did not. She said, I'm not gonna, we're gonna have a problem with this?
No, I'm gonna just, bear my closing
Okay,
argument,
go ahead. Just,
You know.
restrict your statements to the turn.
right?
The
So-
signal.
Is she entering that 45, 39, 11 as evidence?
39, that's the case, that's the.
Right, that's what she's entering as evidence, so can I have a copy of
It's
that?
not evidence, it's the law. It's what you're cited with. It's right in your citation.
Right, I got you.
I'm
So,
looking at it myself. Go ahead.
yep, okay, great.
Your arguments.
Great. Closing argument is, nowhere in that Ohio Revised Code does it say it's mandatory. The very first beginning opening statement of that code right there clearly states, must be, and I'm sorry I don't have it to read from, but safe maneuver, correct? Can I see it, one of you two, since you're both looking at it? Would that be okay? That's what I'm stating right on the first paragraph. I'll give it right back. Thank you. No person shall turn a vehicle or trackless trolley or move right or left upon the highway unless until such person has exercised due care. That's all I need to do. And the video demonstrates that I exercised due care. There is absolutely no traffic. There is one piece of traffic there's a whole lane between me. He's going westbound, I'm going east. At that point, I complied to 4511.39. Now, as far as the state's accusation that I was driving and operating a motor vehicle, that burden of proof has not been met. There has been no contract for hire entered to evidence that states I was driving for compensation. I was traveling, okay? And I have that God-given right to travel, and I demonstrated safety. In my opinion, I traveled the 100 feet. And I hold that to be true and correct with the presumption of innocence. A state employee who has no liability to lawsuit and is immune to say what he wants, do what he wants, no big deal, right? That's unacceptable. To accept testimony from an officer who wants to tweak his testimony for whatever reasons over a turn signal that was clearly displayed. Good. The officer testified I had my grandson with me. What, he's trying to say that I'm out looking at police with dirty looks and agitation with a 3-year-old child in the back seat?
Again, we're getting beyond the issue that I'm looking at here. I'm looking at did you have your turn signal on? Did you have it on properly?
And I believe video, you're right, sorry if I got a little off on, testimony in the wrong. I got you that. So, with the Clearfield Doctrine that supports my cause, anytime the government turns himself into a private corporation, which the city of Oregon has done so by hiring private employees that are not educated in the law, this court has no choice but to find myself not guilty based off the evidence that's before
All
me.
right, thank you, Mr. Coe. Any further?
Yes, Your Honor, I would just state, looking at 451139, when we talk about mandatory, in Section A it says shall. Shall is mandatory. That paragraph, we're not talking about due regard. There's two different elements, as I stated before. The second part after the nor is without giving an appropriate signal in a manner herein provided. Then it talks about how it's provided. But the beginning of Section A says shall. That is mandatory. It is not discretionary for him not to have it continuously 100 feet prior to changing that lane.
Well, rebuttal to that.
And the statute is,
I don't get to rebuttal to that?
go ahead.
In order to have proper standing of jurisdiction, you need a damage to property or victim, which was not demonstrated here, and the state failed to demonstrate that as a result.
A rebuttal would be on her remarks, sir.
This is off her remarks, sir. As a result of what she just said about mandatory turn signal, okay, it's not written like that. It is written when required. Therefore, the state has failed to post proper signs letting the travelers or drivers know that they are in a zone that requires the signal 100 feet. There is no damage to property. This ORC code would be correct had I just slid right over to the right-hand lane or the left-hand lane and damaged somebody's automobile or hit a pedestrian because I failed to signal. There is no victim here. The state cannot be its own victim. It is a conflict of interest.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, the court, satisfied having heard all the evidence submitted today, the issue's real clear. They've gone over and over and over. We know what the issue is, whether or not you exercise, whether you follow the law in making a turn. I mean, the law is very clear, and when making a turn, you have to, in fact, I'll read it to you. It says, when required, a signal or intention to turn or move right or left shall be given continuously during not less than the last 100 feet traveled by the vehicle. The evidence is very clear, the video is clear, you did not travel 100 feet with that signal on, as required under the law. Whether you dispute the law or not, I'm bound to follow the law. The law says that you have to.
I haven't seen anybody put a tape measure on whether or not I went 100 feet.
Well, I've seen the video, that's my determination, finding you guilty. State has proven this case beyond reasonable doubt.
I object and appeal. Notice of appeal immediately.
Let me do sentence first.
Okay.
For anything in sentencing.
Your Honor, the state would ask for a fine of $100 plus court costs. And I'm not sure if insurance was shown.
Is this your record, sir? We don't have it.
I don't think we have Michigan, sir.
I don't have much of a record here. It's in Ohio. Are you a Michigan resident?
I am.
Insurance, did you have insurance?
The vehicle was insured. I don't need to show it.
Did you show the officer?
No, he did not.
All right, I'll give you 1 week to provide the court with proof of insurance. That would be 11th.
Yes, Judge.
February the 11th. You're ordered to pay a $75 fine plus cost.
Notice of appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Good.
Court adjourned.